Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to the Cobb TV studios. We are again with Cobb County Chairman Mike Boyce for our weekly visit. Good morning.
Good morning, Ross. Good to be here again.
And we have some important business coming up very soon. And
Right.
one thing I've learned in this job is how closely tied county business is with what happens with the state and down at the state capitol.
Sure.
And we're meeting with some folks this week.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Not just with the state, but also with the federal government and also with ARC, the Land and Regional Commission. There are a lot of funding sources that we tap into, and one of them, of course, is the state, particularly like in Department of Transportation issues. The library's funded. Some of our library programs are funded by the state. So we like to stay very, very close to our delegation, as we call them. And once a year in December, we get together to talk about topics of mutual interest. And on Friday, about 65 of us are going to get together with them and our staff to talk about these issues. And then next Monday, we also have another delegation meeting with more constituents in the county school board, and so not just county offices. But as we all know, there's a lot of flux right now going on, both at the national level and our level. And as I say every day, every time I have one of these sessions, this county, this board, and this staff, they work hard every day. We're no longer a small little rural community. We're a semi-urban community now of 740,000 people, and we have to work together with our state delegation to make sure that we're all in sync and that we're all spending our taxpayer money, whether it be to the state or ours, at the most efficient purposes with those. So this meeting on Friday is going to bring out some of those issues we're going to talk about.
You know, one thing that happens in this office, we deal with, for instance, cable television regulations.
Right.
That's one of the things that we'll be talking with. It's just, I don't think people realize how much we need to communicate with our legislators who work down at the Capitol.
Well, absolutely right. Another big issue right now is the 911 service. You know, we believe we have a preeminent 911 service in this county. We've worked very hard over the years to put this really professional staff together and to find a way to fund it. And the governor has decided that he now wants to have the 911 fees all collected by a state authority and then reimbursed to us. And we have a lot of concerns about that. First of all, as a Republican, I believe in small government, and I thought, I wrote a letter to the governor saying that I thought adding another bureaucracy to something that we already thought we were doing fine was not the best way to do business. But that's just I'm just one voice in a state of 159 counties. So we're going to see what's going to happen here, but we're going to be expressing concerns like this to this delegation, let them know that this, along with a lot of the unfunded mandates that we have to fund out of our taxpayer dollars in the county. So again, we have a great relationship, but the best way you establish a trust is to communicate with each other in open fashion. That's what we're going to be doing on Friday.
Another hot topic in the county, I was down last week meeting with Jessica Gill, who's the director of Cobb County Senior Services. I was down at the center on Powder Springs Road talking to her and some of the folks who use the facilities about some fees that are coming up next year. You know, we get a lot of comments that people say, well, we've used taxpayer dollars to build the facilities. Why the fees? Jessica was saying more seniors are using the facilities. It's putting more burden on them to provide services. But it is something that we're continually taking a look at.
Well, this is all part of the budget issue. I think there's a growing awareness that after last summer's millage rate discussion, that we really need to start putting our house in order with regard to our budget and our fiscal responsibilities as the county. And yes, there's a couple things that have come out of this senior fees. It kind of reminds me of the sense that I got last year during the millage rate discussions. Through my emails, going out and talking to people, texts, I just got the sense that we had not communicated very well what we were trying to do, which has led to the famous, Mike Boyce and the bucket, and the blocks in the bucket thing. And I get that same sense about the senior fees. So I've decided that I'm going to have to go out in January and go to the senior centers and talk to the seniors about why we're doing what we're doing. I think this is a very defendable action. I understand that nobody likes to have to pay more for something that they've gotten for free in the past. But the reality is that we've come up to a situation now where there are no more buckets to raid. We have to pay for the services that we're providing to our citizens. And during the budget presentations that I'll be giving to the public in February, they're going to see those three areas that we've been discussing in the past about what are mandated services, what are essential services, and what are nice-to-have services. And as much as we love our libraries and our senior centers and our parks, and we have a long legacy of both building them and then paying for them, we're now in a situation where in order to maintain these five-star services and to keep them alive, the board agrees that we're going to have to add some fees to that. The issue is, are the fees reasonable? That's to me the real issue. I have no issue at all with charging membership. We do that for other programs here in the county. But I think the biggest sticking point is the fees we're charging to rent the rooms and for services provided within the senior services. So I'm going to go out like I always do and get back to the people, find out what they're saying, and then I've told people that if I can't defend what I'm doing, we shouldn't be doing it. Well, I think what we're doing is very defendable. But from what I'm seeing is the people, because of this day and age, they get the information from different sources. They didn't fully understand the purpose of our public hearings. And we, quite frankly, didn't do a very good job of communicating what we were doing. So we're in the process of fixing all that. And I'm part of that fix by going out and talking to people in January.
And defending the communication bit, I mean, this is something that came about without a lot of time to really prepare ahead of time. And that's kind of the dilemma that we're facing now, is being put in a position to do things without having a lot of lead time to let folks know about.
Yeah. Well, it's also part of the fact of the way that I like to lead as a chairman. I really believe that even though we're a county of 740,000 people, we're not too big that we can't do one-on-one with our voters and our residents. And so I just believe that all of us here, whenever we're going to be doing something, we need to get in front of the stories I tell people. My commitment to all the commissioners was no surprises. So whenever they read about something or hear about something I've said or done, they heard about it from me first. And I'm slowly but surely bringing this sort of approach to the departments through the county manager and letting them know that when the board is considering doing something that might impact their area, their responsibility is to start talking to their customers, let them know, hey, the board is thinking about doing this. You need to start paying attention to the board hearings or go to the board hearings or watch it online. Sign up for your commissioner's email, sign up for my email. I can assure you, Ross, as you well know, we're doing everything we possibly can, given the resources we have, to tell people what we're doing here. But it's a partnership. The voters and citizens also have to do their part, and they have to start getting engaged with their government. When I send out this video every week to my email list, on the very bottom I say, it's your government, stay involved. And then I put my email and my phone number there. So I'm asking for people to do the same there. Come out, stay involved, and see what your government's doing with your money.
And along those lines, there's been a lot of questions about the nonprofits, the funding to them, why we give them money, and how much money we're giving them. And you mentioned there's another agenda item on that coming up. Right.
I brought that forward in November, and I think some of the commissioners still had some issues about the policy guidelines. So I've gone back and rewritten and revised those policies to reflect their concerns. There were two major areas. One of them was that the commissioners felt that perhaps because of the necessity to address youth issues and veterans issues, we needed to insert them into some of the policy guidelines that were there, the new priorities. So we put them in there. And then most importantly, there's the essential ingredient to this issue, which has always been from the start: why are we using taxpayers' dollars and giving this to a non-government institution? And the line is always that we need to look at nonprofits like we look at our contractors. If they're providing a service that we would be doing, but they do it better, then we're contracting them to do that. But one of the things that we've done to ensure that everybody sees that there's a direct connection between who we contract is that the nonprofits are going to have to work with the departments in the county to get an endorsement from one of them to show that, yes, what we're doing is what this department would be doing, and they support what we're doing. And there's going to have to be a statement to that to connect that between the government and the nonprofit.
And there are situations too, and I've been in some of these discussions, where these nonprofits, they may not be doing a job that we would directly do, but doing what they do ends up saving the county money.
It does
in the long run.
And again, I think this is all going to settle out. Like any kind of change, takes some time to smooth the rough waters, because we're now shifting the ship in a different direction. But we've talked on a regular basis with the nonprofits and the umbrella organizations that we've worked with in the past. They know exactly what we're trying to do. Sherry Martin wrote a really great article for the MDJ a couple weeks ago about why we need to take nonprofits perhaps need to take another look at how they're funded. So I think what we've done here is we started that conversation that I've been trying to do for the last 6 months, is that why are we doing this? And if we are doing it, is it the best way to use the taxpayers' money? And I think this new policy, when it comes out, will reflect that. And will also continue to support nonprofits that, in fact, not only do a better job than we do, but they leverage that into providing a service where they generate 2 or 3 times more revenue to do that same service that we don't have to use from the taxpayer's wallet.
Talking about volunteering and service, I had a chance to go out and see you ringing the bell outside of Kroger
Yes.
The other day. And, you know, you and I had talked before about your desire just to get out there.
Sure.
You ride with police, you do some of these volunteer things.
Right.
And you mentioned not everybody recognizes you as Mike Boyce, Cobb County Chairman, but what does going out there and doing things like that show you about the community that you're serving?
Well, it's a reaffirmation of what terrifically nice people we have in the county, for one thing. And like I tell everybody, you know, I could stay up in this building in my office all day long and, you know, sign documents and do readings and send emails, but you lose touch with the people. And you get an opportunity in doing this to see what their challenges are in life. And that shapes how I run my chairmanship, but also the things that I'm going to be focusing on, because my most important priority is time. Just because I was elected chairman, I wasn't given more hours and days to work that. But it's also part of something I've been doing from day one, which reflects my spiritual walk. The values that I have for my spiritual walk, I try to reflect in how I lead this board. And so it's all part of a larger, you know, equation as to the kind of chairmanship and the image that I want to project to the people, that I genuinely care about them, I genuinely want to hear from them, but I also want to take the time to know that you know, it's a personal relationship, and I'm willing to make that effort to do that.
In another event I was with you, also realized that people aren't afraid to speak their mind in front of you and let them know it's on their mind.
Oh, no. Again, look, we were paid as commissioners and chairman to make the hard decisions. That, I think deep down inside, that even sometimes, if not many times, the people might not agree with what we're doing. They're glad that we're having to make the decision they're not to, because this is a tough job. The commissioners have to make some very hard decisions. But it's easier when A, they know how the public feels about it, and B, they provided all the facts to make an informed decision. So the bottom line is it's all about relationships, and relationships are built on truth and trust. And you have to get out there and show them that A, you're a man of your word or a woman of your word, a person of your word, and that B, you can defend your actions, and that you're willing to get out there and show them in a personal way why you're doing what you're doing. So this is a very, very personal relationship, as I'm sure it is a very personal relationship with the commissioners with their constituents.
Well, that is true. And as you mentioned, rolling into 2018, there's going to be a lot that I think people in Cobb need to know about. You mentioned to sign up for your newsletter and the commissioner's newsletter. We also have Facebook and Twitter feeds with Cobb County government you can follow as well.
Right.
We encourage folks to do that and
Absolutely.
tune in every week to our conversation to learn more about what's happening in this great county.
All right, well, thanks, Ross.
All right, have a good one.
Have a good week yourself.